I'm Macbigicekeys, and this video is about the Faerie Queene by Edmund Spenser, which is a very old allegory from the 1500s. And this is kind of a strange video for my channel, but it's what I'm thinking about this morning, and there's a little bit of creativity at play, and I have a question for anyone who might be interested. Maybe you can give me your take on it. So this is the first stanza of this epic allegorical poem. And I'm not really going to get into like interpretations of deeper meaning or analysis of language or anything like that. I was kind of just reading through this on my own recently, and I'm just annoyed by the archaic spellings and some of the language. So I was going through and figuring out if I were to modernize it, just based on spellings, just the simple stuff, what could I get away with to make it more easily readable without brutalizing the original text too much? So we got this first stanza here. It says, "Lo, I, the man whose muse will home did mask, as time her taught in lowly shepherd's weeds, am now enforced a far and unfitter task for trumpet stern to change my oaten reeds, and sing of knights and ladies' gentle deeds, whose praises have slept in silence long. Me all too mean, the sacred muse reads to blazon broad amongst her learned throng. Fierce wars and faithful loves shall moralize my song." And so I do have a question here. My take on this is that, and I think this is a generally accepted take on this, is that he's approaching this epic piece of writing like, oh, I'm just unfit to write this thing, but I'm going to do my best. So just like me in this video, I'm just kind of doing this for fun. So don't take me too critically here, right? I'm just doing my best. And so he's going to do his best to tackle this story of this knight and this lady and this whole allegory thing that he's doing in the poem, even if before he was just writing pastoral poetry or something like that. So I went through and I did my spelling changes just to make it a little bit more readable, and this is what I came up with, and then I'll follow up with the question that I have. The question is going to be about the second line. So with my modern spellings, and it's not going to sound too much different. Lo, I, the man whose muse before did mask, as time her taught in lowly shepherd's weeds, am now enforced a far and fitter task for trumpets stern to change mine oaten reeds, and sing of knights and ladies' gentle deeds, whose praises have slept in silence long. Me all too green, the sacred muse decrees, to blazon broad amongst her learned throng, fierce wars and faithful loves shall moralize my song. One cool thing about this poem that I've kind of rediscovered, because it's been about 20 years since I've looked at it, is that it's really very much just like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. If you look at it just on the surface level of the narrative, there, it starts out, we have this knight and this lady and this dwarf carrying their luggage, and there's a lamb in the scene, and there's a donkey, and they're just riding into a forest, and they get lost in the forest, and then they find a cave, and there's a monster in the cave, and then they run into a mage later on, and this is all in the first canto. So it's very much like a D&D adventure, which is kind of fun to just read it on that superficial level. So I made a few changes to like that did, I think, brutalize the meaning a little bit here. If you look at line one, it says whose muse before did mask, and this Willome or Willome, I'm not sure how you would say it, means something along the lines of formerly. So I did change that to before right here. I don't think it hurts it too much. It kind of keeps with the syllabication and the stresses pretty well. And then in line 7, as kind of my footnote shows down here on the bottom, line 7, whose praises, I'm sorry, me all too green, the sacred muse decrees. I think mean, meaning like lowly or base, like in the word demeaning, right? Very low. I think mean isn't going to resonate with modern readers. And so I was trying to think of a synonym, and this idea of green being green or fresh or new, something that has not been growing very long, I think works pretty well. And it keeps the rhyme, and it keeps the stresses accurate. So I think that works okay as a replacement. And then I also completely changed the word a reads at the end, which means something along the lines of commanding. And I thought decrees works pretty well because it keeps that rhyme scheme going, and it still feels like a command. So I think that actually I might like this better than the original for that replacement. Decrees, the muse decrees. So let me get to my question. My question, and I'd love to hear what you think in the comments here. And I posted this to a Reddit literary studies feed, so I'm interested to hear what they say. But my question here is, as time her taught, this little clause right here, I feel like as time her taught could go back and be modifying man, like as time her taught, as over time the muse has taught the man. And he's inverting some of the grammar here, so I think that's why I'm confused by it. Or we could read it as whose muse before did mask, as time her taught, like time has taught her, time has taught the muse. So it could be referring to muse or it could be referring to man. Grammatically, I think part of what's confusing me is why would this be so far away from muse, right? When muse is all, whose muse before did mask is already modifying man, as time her taught. Could be talking about the masking too, just because of this as. So, but it's poetry, so it's not always going to be grammatically correct. My question is how do we read it? Is it that over time the muse has learned to inspire greater types of poetry, and so now the speaker, the man, is able to attack poetry of knights and ladies and adventures and all that, where he was before only able to write about the beauty of the countryside and whatnot? Or is it that that over time the muse has taught the man to develop the skills? Like the muse has been with him this whole time, and at first his skill was so low, but over time she has inspired him to the point that now she is ready to take the mask fully off of him and unleash him on this great task. I like the second version better, but I'm curious what y'all might think. And that's my video. Comment if you like if you do. Thanks for watching.